Welcome back to the Martech Show, where Robin and I get to do a deep dive into a specific platform or a solution that can help you and your business today. Now, Robin's at an event in Dallas today, but we were wondering, what if you could analyze your ad creative's performance and gain truly actionable insights in under a minute? Advertisers face this daunting challenge when it comes to understanding the true impact of their creatives across platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Google, and TikTok. The black box problem leaves them in the dark, relying on inadequate traditional methods like A B testing, leading to guesswork and inefficiencies. And this lack of detailed, actionable data results in wasted resources and time, with advertisers unable to optimize their strategies effectively. The frustration of costly and ineffective testing pushes brands to seek better solutions. Well, today we have Asaf Yanai, CEO of Alison.ai, joining us to explain how AI can revolutionize creative analysis. Asaf has over 15 years of experience in driving technological innovation and transforming industries, with a background in strategic roles such as VP of Growth and Head of Media Buying at top online marketing companies. Asaf leverages his expertise to lead Alison.ai in revolutionizing creative analysis with AI. His entrepreneurial journey, marked by successful ventures and a relentless pursuit of progress, makes him a true inspiration in the tech industry. Hey, Asaf, welcome to the show.
Hi, Mike. Thank you for having me. Pleasure being here.
So excited to have you. Could you start by just telling us a little bit more about Alison.ai and the work that you guys are doing there?
Absolutely. So, as you said, in my career, 15 years within online marketing, I've been fascinated about creatives and about the visual elements and the visual effect that advertisements actually have on our audiences, on our buyers, on our target market, etc. But what I've realized, in my career, and a lot of my colleagues feel the same, what we've realized is that in the past few years, there's been a shift in online marketing. There's been a shift driven by the big media platforms, Google, Facebook, TikTok, etc. And this shift is basically a shift towards automations, shift towards being in full control, even manual control over your campaigns, media budgets, etc., to a place like we have today, that we have very little, maybe zero control over our media metrics, campaigns, placements, etc. So all of those platforms, those main platforms, they've shifted their focus from media to creative by making media completely automatic. So when they make media completely automatic, using automatic campaigns, dynamic campaigns, using their own algorithms, etc., that means that us as advertisers, as brands, the only real thing, the only thing we can really make an impact and really change within our campaigns are the creatives, the visual elements that we use to engage and interact with our audiences. So here comes, the tough question, which is, how do we, as brands, how do we know what's the right video content or what's the right video composition that we should be engaging with our audiences? So there's a clear focus on video from Google, being put on YouTube and other display networks, Facebook, meaning Facebook itself and Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, etc. So there's a clear focus on video from the platform side. There's a clear focus on videos from the user side. Us as users, we prefer to engage with video content, but also on the engagement side, video sells better. Video assets could deliver multiple messagings, hyper-personalized messaging, to be able to cater the needs of specific user segments, audiences, and even specific users. So going back to the tough question, now that we know that there's a clear focus and a tremendous focus on videos and on creatives themselves rather than on the media, then the question is, how do we know what's the right video content or video composition that we should be engaging with our audience? And it's a very tough question, and you've kind of touched it in your intro, but it really comes to be a black box, because the only real way, without using Alison, that we can optimize or gain some sort of an understanding of what's really happening within our creatives is running A/B tests. Now, A/B tests are extremely costly, wasteful, and inefficient. And actually, if, those of you who know me and know my career better, you know that I've been fascinated specifically with this A/B test challenge. And the main challenge is that, A/B test hasn't changed in decades. I mean, in the 80s, in the 70s, when everything was offline, every company that wanted to test their online advertisements, they also used A/B tests. And now, when everything is digital, we call it ones and zeros, we are still using A/B tests. I mean, it doesn't make real sense, right? So the problem of A/B tests is that initially we create and generate a lot more versions, a lot more creatives than we actually need, because we need to make a differentiation, iterations between the different creatives, and then put them to test in the actual real world. So 90% of the creatives that we produce actually goes to waste, meaning they will not win the A/B test process, and thus we would completely scrap them. But what happens with the 10% that does win the tests? How do we know if they're the optimal versions, or how do we know if we should be making them better? So this is the main problem with A/B tests. We're only looking at one or few variables at a time. So if we want to cover all the different variables to an optimal position, we would either have to run A/B tests forever or run A/B tests forever. And still, as brands, the incremental increase that we will gain after each one of those tests is very slim. So the use of AI can really revolutionize and can really replace this entire A/B test process by completely looking at creatives in a different way, looking at creatives as data points and what is within the creatives, and not what is this black box asset that we call a creative or a video.
And that's something I want to come back to, because as a social media marketer for over a decade, this is an issue regardless of whether they're talking about organic or paid. We have so many different platforms, and it is virtually impossible to understand why certain things are performing the way they are on other kinds of platforms. And quite frankly, many of us are just so lazy and so frustrated or overwhelmed that we simply just do the same thing across all platforms. Certainly, being transparent, that's what I do personally. I don't have a lot of time for this on my side hustles to do true social media marketing the way it's supposed to be. So I share the same things everywhere, and they perform or they don't. But talk to me about this concept of black box a little bit more, because here, at least in the US, when we think black box, we think like the recording unit inside of an airplane. That's not what we're talking about here. Help us kind of really unpack this concept of a black box.
Yeah, correct. So the reason it's called a black box is because we're looking at the creative, video, banner, etc., as a whole. We're looking at it as a box or as an asset, and looking at it in a very high level of view as an entire asset doesn't really give us the insight or the way to make it better in the future. It doesn't really give us the data points that we need in order to actually optimize according to performance. So the black box paradox, or the black box challenge, really is all about how do we decipher, or how do we decode those videos and those creatives into measurable data points, measurable features, measurable elements and components that we can either correlate with performance, we can find different combinations that might work well or might not work well, or how do we come up with a strategy that helps us understand what should we do in order to consistently increase our performance. So this is the big black box challenge. And again, by looking at creatives as units, as asset, we're not really gaining any idea and any data points around how do we make it better, nor gaining any insights towards, okay, what is our strategy in the future? How do we take our current strategy and make it better? Not just 1, 2, 3% better. That's the typical A/B test uplift, or the typical A/B test increase. But how do we come up with a 300% increase in our main KPIs, including revenues? So that's a little bit about this. Now AI, and I would love to dive a bit deeper into how it's really done and how is this decoding or deciphering of the creative really comes to life. But AI is completely revolutionizing this entire place. AI started as taking, tedious human jobs and just make it automatic. But this was the beginning of AI. Now there's a lot more things that we can do with AI. Gather so much more data that is really sometimes even impossible to imagine that we can gain such valuable insights and such high volume of meaningful data points.
Yeah, so walk us through that process of how AI and Alison.ai is used to evaluate the creatives and actually come up with insights that are just so fast.
Yeah. So first, we really take speed into consideration. For us, speed is a part of this efficiency revolution that we're trying to create in the market. And A/B test takes a lot of time. We need to produce a lot of creatives. We need to dedicate budgets. We need to put them to publish them online. We need to wait a bit, between a day or a week, sometimes even more, to get a decision, to get an output, which one is the winning version. And even then, we still don't know, as I said, why. So again, instead of running tests of one or few variables at a time, this is what we're doing with AI at Alison. Basically, we're scanning every single piece of creative, from banners to the most difficult and most intricate videos you can think of. We're scanning all those creatives, and using 10 different AI engines, we run a process called feature extraction. We're basically identifying 25,000 features from 30-second videos, so we can then correlate those features with the actual performance. So we can see which feature, which element, which combination of feature actually drives our incremental increase or drives our actual performance. So this goes to sound and voiceover and background and call to actions and logos and facial expressions, and even product or service attributes that are used to within the advertisements, within the videos, to actually sell. So after we're breaking the creatives down into those thousands of elements, ending up to be billions of elements per customer, we're then correlating the features with the actual performance of those videos. So we can tell our customers, not by guessing, not by brainstorming, not by running experiments, but telling them exactly, precisely what's driving the performance within their creatives. And we can help them come up with recipes, the best recipes for a creative success. In a way, I also look at it as a chef. Think of a world best chef, Gordon Ramsay's or whatever, coming up with the best recipe for a winning dinner. So instead of a recipe for winning dinner, imagine you would have a recipe for a winning video specifically for your target audience, for your service or products. And also this recipe that takes into account every single campaign and every single creative that you've ever ran and ever tested or ever launched. And this optimization process, this insight process and recipe process begins with a lot of research that we do using AI. And you've guessed it correctly. It sounds tough. It sounds like a long task in terms of time, but it takes less than 60 seconds. So we can go through thousands of videos, break them into billions of data points, correlate all those billions of data points with the actual performance, the actual marketing metrics, and come up with those recommendations and those recipes in less than 60 seconds. So imagine this is so powerful for a lot of businesses because the equivalent process takes a full team, probably a full month. And also there's this gap of data. If the full team for a full month works on the traditional methods of A/B test, the level of data and the uplifts would be nice or maybe okay, but it would never be something that you can build an actual strategy that would last and sustain for longer periods of times. But that's just the beginning of it. Now, imagine you also have an army of market researchers on your side working for you. So we also use our AI not just to analyze and break down our customers' creatives. We also use our AI to analyze and break down their direct competitors' creatives. And for us, we look at the direct competitors as the market. They represent the market, a specific market for us as advertisers. And by looking at our competitors, we can drive a lot of insights, a lot of clever things that we know that are working for our competitors, but there was no way we could reach them and surface those data points before if we haven't using an AI solution like Alison. So this is how the magic happens, and this is how the AI works. But again, it's only let's call it this way. It's only the beginning of the process, because what we've realized is that providing insights and recommendations, it's nice, it's helpful, it's impactful as hell, yes. But this is not a tool. These are data points or recommendation recipes that we still need to have a lot of work on. We need to put a lot of resources, and we need a lot of teams and a lot of people to actually produce the marketing outputs based on those insights and recommendations and recipes. So what we've done at Alison is we've taken our insights and recommendations and we transform them into a prompt, or a smart prompt, we call it, because it's not just a typed in prompt. It's probably 300 times stronger in terms of the amount of data and the relevancy for the customer than just a regular typed in prompt. And we use those prompts in order to generate marketing outputs, like the regular marketing outputs that we know. But again, these are not based on subjective experiences. These are not based on brainstorming or guesswork. These are based on billions of your own data points, billions of your competitors' data points, that are then being correlated with the exact business goals and KPIs you're trying to achieve. And only then we are producing the marketing outputs in the form of our marketing brief, storyboards, and also a live generated video that is commercially ready, meaning that it's not just a raw footage, it's already a ready-made ad that takes your brand guidelines, your logos, your call to actions, disclaimers, messaging, and even hyper-personalized components to your different audiences and segments into consideration while producing and generating those videos. And again, this all takes less than 60 seconds, this entire process.
That's the beauty of AI today. But one thing I wanted to kind of draw out and clarify, you talked about how it's instantly going to compare one particular video asset against everything else that you've ever run in the history of your advertising, so you can draw from that learning. But did I hear you correctly? It's also drawing on competitors and perhaps other videos in the market. So it's comparing that one asset against a vast ocean of other assets and helping to draw insights on what should or should not be changed?
Precisely. Yes, precisely. And again, what we've realized is that by looking only at our customers' data, we're missing huge part of what's called marketing. We're missing the market. And we're missing what our competitors are doing, what our competitors are leveraging, if it's working for them. We're missing all those gaps between us as brands or advertisers and our competitors. And actually, there's no real way, there's no real tool outside of Alison that can help us run this creative research on our competitors. So we're learning that it's comparing our assets to all of our other assets, but also comparing our assets to all of our competitors' assets. And if you look at it aggregatively, basically, this is the most powerful, most robust creative gallery and creative insight that you can ever think of, because it goes way beyond what you think traditionally as a brand, and it goes way beyond what you used to do traditionally as an advertiser. And it also goes way beyond to the limits of the different platforms. Because we're looking at all the different platforms at once, we can also provide with the specific iterations and the specific tweaks or modifications that we need to do to a specific creative in order to maximize, not optimize, maximize its performance on every single platform with every single concept and on every single placement. Now, think of it with your own company, think of it with your own business, and how would you use this kind of a tool and kind of a strategy if you have it on your disposal. And I can already tell you that our customers are reporting back to us, and this is an average, right? On average, we're seeing 180% increase in revenues, not just clicks, not just impressions, revenues. Now, again, think of it just a regular normal business that generates X dollars or X millions of dollars per year, and multiply this by 180%. That's very transformative to a business, I think.
That's huge. So for those of you watching, a couple of big points that Asaf just made. First, if you're just starting out with advertising, you don't have a rich history of advertising that you can look back on and try to compare. That's okay, because their tool brings in your competitors who may have been doing this for a much longer period than you. And that's just such a great start. And you also have so many other assets that is bringing in and paying attention to. But the other thing that you mentioned that I really want to underline, you talked about how each asset can be adjusted, tweaked, have different recommendations depending on the platform that you're advertising on. We did an interview with Feedonomics on our Social Pulse podcast retail edition, which they do that for products. If you've got a shopping cart on your site and you're trying to populate a Facebook shop and a TikTok shop and several other online shops, and pushing the same thing out, the same assets, the same descriptions, everything to all those platforms, individually they're not going to perform as well. There's unique individual aspects that need to be customized. So it's really interesting to hear that your tool does that as well from advertising and creatives. Folks, if you're just tuning in, we're talking with Asaf Yanai about how marketers today can utilize AI to help them dramatically improve their advertising. Now, I've got a bunch of more questions, but before we get to those, let's see how Agorapulse is leveraging AI to help social media marketers.
Hey there, Daryl Prale, Chief Marketing Officer here at Agorapulse, the industry's best social media management platform. I gotta tell you, I love AI. Why? I don't view it as a threat. Rather, it makes me better. It's a colleague. It's a collaborator. Let's say I do a social media post, but you know what? I'm a little long-winded. I want it shorter. Maybe I want it longer. Maybe I want it punchier, more assertive, more inspirational, more funny. That's what our writing assistant does. Check it out, agorapulse.com.
So, Yasaf, our community manager who's tuning in on LinkedIn, has got a question. Could you talk about what the pricing model looks like for Alison.ai?
Absolutely. So it's the regular SaaS pricing structure that we know from a lot of other companies with an annual subscription fee, but we've spiced it up a little bit. So there is let's call it a base fee, and then there's a usage component on top. The reason we've done it is first to kind of ease you into the process. You don't really have to integrate and connect all of your media platforms, and we don't have to scan every single piece of creative, etc. We can start from a smaller baseline and then expand from there. That's one. But two, we also wanted to make sure that we're catering the needs of different types, different sizes of businesses. So obviously, our main target and our main portfolio are big brands and enterprise. But we're also working with some fantastic mid-market and fantastic startups that are really leveraging the AI capabilities to actually build a business and build an entire marketing strategy upon our platform. And for that reason, we made it, let's call it a dual track mode. So you have a base price, a base fee, and then there's a usage component on top that could be adjusted from month to month, from day to day, etc. So I hope this gives you a little bit of an understanding. But there's another thing that I wanted to point out, and I think if we talk about pricing, that might be the best way to approach it, which is right now around 80% of the dollars we spend within our marketing departments are not being utilized correctly. Some of it goes towards budgets for A/B tests, the actual media budgets for A/B tests that we already understand that these are obsolete and these are wasteful budgets. And the other side, there's a lot of different creatives that we need to produce and create in order to feed this A/B test process continuously. So if we talk about pricing, let's also talk about cost reduction, not just about performance uplift, but also about cost reduction. So companies that are using Alison are experiencing 50% reduction in their marketing expenses overall. Think of your marketing expense. Typically, it's the second largest cost line within your P&L. Now, imagine cutting this by 50% and at the same time increasing your revenues by 180%. So you need less people, less creatives, and less time, or basically quicker to produce creatives that will perform better. So that's why I'm trying to. That's why I try to explain that this is completely transformative to a business. So on a pricing standpoint, we also ease you into this process. You can start small and experience, and once you see the uplifts and once you see the cost reductions, you can basically expand and scale together with us at Alison.
Love it. I'm glad you brought out that point about both the cost savings and the time savings. That doesn't necessarily mean, folks, that you're going to necessarily lose a job or fire somebody, but you could free up their time to focus on creating additional assets or other kinds of campaigns that they didn't have time to do because they were so focused on running A/B tests, or they were creating that one video and that's all they had time to do now. So powerful, the things that you're sharing. Could you go a little more specific in terms of some of your customers? Because you mentioned them before, the amount of revenue that they're seeing, which is incredible. Maybe you've got a case study or a success story that you could share with us that will help illustrate how this is impacting their ad performance.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we have dozens of customers that are already experiencing this increase or uplift in performance and decrease in costs at the same time. We call it the dual effect, increasing this efficiency gap rather than decreasing it. But I can give you a few examples. So first, and I think it's one of the most powerful case studies that we've ever had, and we're still having it, obviously, is with Google. So Google is one of our partners, but not just a partner. Google is a channel partner for us, meaning that Google understands and recognizes the powerful impact that Alison could have on their own customers, gaining better visibility towards what's actually driving the performance within their creatives, not having the need of producing so many different creatives and just being blind about what's actually working and what should we put as a strategy and whatnot, but also they're really not shy about the media impact. So imagine, and you've touched it a little bit in your previous sentence. So it's not really about replacing people and making them worry about their jobs or job security. Not at all. It's about augmenting their entire workflow around creative, from the very first campaign creation or campaign analysis to an optimized creative and optimized video in the end of the process. So it's about giving the power back to the teams and providing them with intelligent tools that can really make an impact. So going back to Google, what we have with Google is basically Google, they don't really have internal tools that can gain such visibility towards creatives and videos in particular. And more importantly, they're not really acting as consultants when it comes to guiding their customers on how to actually create better performing creatives. Yes, they have benchmarks, they have a lot of data, but we also know that one size fits all is a thing of the past. Right now, it's look at a specific campaign, look at a specific customer, look at a specific brand, and find the right things that moves the needle and increase performance, introduces efficiency for this brand. So Google are basically working with us and subsidizing, believe it or not, but subsidizing the Alison analysis for some of their key customers, those key customers who can really gain impact, and that Google would see a fantastic impact when it comes to their media budget and ad spend on the platform as well. Another example I can give you is from one of the biggest gaming companies in the world called Zynga. So Zynga is working with us for a long time, a few years already, and we've done tremendous process. So in the beginning, only a few of their studios actually used Alison, but as I said earlier, once they saw the impact and felt it in their P&L and felt it in their actual ad performance, they were able to expand significantly. So even with Zynga, we're looking at 50% decrease in their production costs, specifically production cost, 50% decrease in their A/B test expenditures. But as I said earlier, 100%, 180% increase, it's the average. We have cases, we have specific campaigns and specific studios where we even see 300% increase in their main KPI, which very often is ROI, which is the bottom line, the holy grail, the cherry on top. What every single company is looking for is to increase their return on investment. And that's exactly what we're seeing with Zynga after working with them for a few years and analyzing tens of thousands of their creatives and tens of thousands of their direct competitors.
Love those stories. Those are fantastic. In fact, we'll have Google here on the Martech show in October. It's one of our live shows. So make sure you guys come back for that. We'll be talking about Google Workspace in particular. But I'm wondering, Asaf, if you could share what you think some of the common misperceptions are about AI when it comes to creative analysis and perhaps ways that Alison.ai is overcoming those.
So yeah, I think it's still happening. Those misconceptions and those trust issues, let's put it this way, around AI. But I think it's about to be changed. I think next year, 2025, it's going to be the real breakout year for the use of AI within marketing. Yes, we've seen AI do some copy generation. Yes, we've seen AI do some campaign structure or briefing. but we haven't yet seen an AI that does the entire process from A to Z. And I think the big misconception around AI is that it has hallucinations, it lies a bit, it's not 100% accurate, and also that it's not intuitive and it's very difficult to gain full control over AI tools. And I think these are all misconceptions. These are all trust issues, not really technology issues. Let's put it this way. And I think that the companies, the brands that would be wise enough to adopt and integrate and use AI tools specifically for marketing, and specifically robust tools that takes the entire process, the entire workflow from A to Z, I think they will very quickly realize that their past thoughts were really misconceptions and were really trust issues and not really technology issues, adoption issues, or performance issues within AI tools. And in some ways, I even feel sorry for for a lot of people that are refraining from using it heavily. They use it as an addition to their toolbox. They use it as another tool in their toolbox, rather than making the AI to be their toolbox. Once you do this change in perception, and you're not thinking about AI as a replacement for a team member, but thinking about AI as a framework, as the base for everything you do, I think this is really the turning point, and this what really transforms a lot of different businesses that we're working with right now. And we're seeing this across a variety of different verticals, from fintech companies to CPG to e-commerce, gaming, even fashion and retail. And I think there's also another missed opportunity, or a misperception, that AI tools are niche, or AI tools are for specific, simple, so to speak, tasks, or they're specific for copy, they're specific for gaming, they're specific for retail. But I think this is based on past terrible experiences, or past challenges within AI. Today, the industry and the technology is far more advanced than what we can even think of and what we can even grasp. And I think, once companies are starting to really adopt and use some resources, spend some time and efforts on really adopting AI tools for marketing, I think they will see this huge impact and huge belief in the tools that would change the perception and would definitely revolutionize the business, and would be the stepping stone for everything that will come after, that are, I think, very exciting and very innovative. So I think we're also looking into the future. We should be looking forward to a very innovative, creative, and exciting future, if we're wise enough to really adopt and really integrate AI tools. Again, not as another tool in the toolbox, but being the entire toolbox.
I couldn't agree more. We absolutely should not be focusing on adding an AI tool just for the sake of adding AI. We need to be thinking about how AI can be a partner in everything that we're doing. Robert Rose put it so well on our podcast recently, where he talked about you shouldn't have an AI strategy any more than you should have an electricity strategy. Electricity is just part of how we go about doing business today. AI very soon is going to be the exact same way. It's permeating everything that we're doing. And you talk about future. And so I'd love, Asaf, for my last question, if you could just think about how you see AI evolving in the future, particularly when it comes to AI-driven creative analysis, because this is just wild. I know so many of us are super excited about the potential here. Where is it going?
So it's a very good question. And from my personal and humble opinion and perspective, I think that AI for creative analysis is going to go a long way. It's going to go a long way, and we're going to see this impacting a lot of different industries and a lot of different media that we haven't seen the impact yet. For example, CTVs, right? Live streaming. Everything is video. Everything is creative. If you really think about it, think about dynamic billboards. Think about advertisements or online digital advertisements within transportations, trains, buses, etc. Think about again connected TVs. It goes a long way. It goes way beyond just the regular media platforms that we think of. Everything is creative. Everything is visual. I think we're gonna see AI avatars and AI people. Even let's put it this way: it's not really people, but AI figures of people that would be incorporated a lot more in creative and creativity. I think that the level of the analysis is going to even improve even more than it is right now. And I think that the AI for creative analysis specifically is going to be a lot more autonomous. A lot more autonomous means, in my opinion, that we would just be guiding, we would just be monitoring, we would just be supervising the AI for creative analysis rather than putting it into work. Meaning, think of it as a different company even that works on your behalf solely for you, and you just need to navigate. So basically, it turns regular employees and us as regular people, it turns all of us to managers, turns all of us to supervisors, and it frees our mind to think about innovation, creativity. What can I, as a person, as a human being with the best brands in the market, what can I do more to help my business, and not what do I do today to stay in the business? I think AI would help us stay in the business. AI would help us increase our performance steadily throughout time, so we can really build a strategy upon it. And then us as humans, we would definitely need to guide and supervise those AI tools, but also to be welcoming and open to new things and new ideas that even might sound or look crazy. Imagine, last example, I promise, we're working with one of the biggest pet food companies in the world. Every single one of their creatives for cat food has real cats in it. Every single one of their creatives has real cats. Now, when we used Alison to run the analysis and insights for them, Alison suggested to use an animation cat, not a real cat at all. And the customer, the team thought we're crazy. Said, no, there's no way we would use animation and not real cats, because we're serving real cat food, not just animation cat, right? We want to make it as relevant to our target audience. So we said, why not trying? Let's just try. Let's give it a shot. Let's see if it works. Let's go beyond the traditional understanding of what we think is working, what we think would resonate. And believe it or not, within 1 week, this animation cat performed 50% better in terms of revenues and purchases, and now it's a top performing creative. And it's a one of a kind, one out of hundreds. And that's the real impact, I think, that we're about to see even more so in the future, coming up with crazy ideas that might look or sound crazy, but they're not really crazy. They're intelligent, they're smart, they're based on real data that us as humans, we don't really have the capabilities to dig deeper and unveil them.
I love that story, and I couldn't agree more with your vision of the future. I was attending Podcast Movement recently, and so I was spending time digging into the analytics of this show and my AI and Marketing Impact podcast. And folks, so you understand what I'm talking about, we're talking about dozens and dozens of episodes, 30 to 45 minute long audio and video files. Each of them has a unique title. Each of them has a unique description, unique guest, unique topic and text. And I, as a human, am trying to look at baseline metrics of listens, downloads, and consumption and trying to determine if there are patterns in there. And it's really complicated. It's really hard, probably impossible for most humans to look at that level of data and see any kind of trend amongst that content. But the AI is going to be able to do that. And to your point, Asaf, very soon, I won't have to ask AI to do that. I won't have to feed those video files or session information into a particular tool. The agents will be there to surface that information for me on a weekly, monthly, daily basis and say, hey, Mike, we're seeing this trend, or I'm seeing this, and I think you should do this or that with your show, with your content, to your point, with your videos and your creatives. Such a fascinating time to be alive. This is so cool. Thank you so much, Asaf. This has been great. For those who want to learn more, or they want to reach out and ask you more questions, where can they go to find you?
Yeah. So it's very easy. You go to Alison.ai, Alison.ai, and we're instantly there. You can book a demo. You can start using the platform, or speak to our team and find the best and easiest and quickest way to get you onboarded and get you to experience and feel the impact of Alison for your own business and for your own marketing activities. Now, thank you very much, Mike, for having me. It has been a pleasure, real pleasure. I can speak about creative analysis and about Alison for hours, but I think we've came up with some very interesting points and topics, and I really thank you for this. Thank you for the opportunity and for the stage.
Thank you for joining us, and thank you all of you who've been watching and listening. That's all the time we've got for today, friends, but we'll be back with our next episode with Bitly, talking about link tracking and how we're going to actually monitor performance. Until next time, take care. Thank you for listening to another episode of the MarTech Show, hosted by Robin Diamond and Mike Alton, powered by AgoraPulse, the #1 rated social media management solution, which you can learn more about at agorapulse.com. If you want to make sure you're part of our audience during live weekly broadcasts, take a look at our calendar at agorapulse.com/calendar, or click the subscribe button in your email once you register for any of these events. Is there a particular tool or topic you'd like to see us talk about? Or perhaps you think your solution should be featured? Email me at mike@agorapulse.com.